Right. So good evening, parents. Good evening, Pratiti. Thank you so much for taking the time out to have a webinar about Azim Premji University. And a quick introduction to the guest that we have today. Pratiti Prasad leads undergraduate and postgraduate outreach initiatives at Azim Premji University. She has a background as a school leader, primary educator, and now she is a practitioner researcher, bringing very deep expertise and experience in social justice, schooling, equity in education, and educational leadership. She works closely with schools, colleges, and partners across India to help young people explore pathways that combine academic rigor with purpose and public good. So Pratiti is a seasoned, if I can say, an expert in the domain. She spent more than a decade with Azim Premji University. I just got chatting with her, and very, very happy to have you here, Pratiti. Thank you so much for taking time out on the Sunday evening and helping parents and students understand what is the entire Azim Premji framework. Over to you.
Thank you so much for having us. We at Azim Premji University are always really happy to interact one-on-one with parents because I think when parents understand the program, it's really helpful for the student to make a decision on where they would like to go. So I'll start with a really short presentation about, maybe we'll show the video first, Rahul, if that's okay, and then I'll go into the presentation. So we'll show you a quick video of our Bangalore campus, but we have two campuses, one in Bangalore and one in Bhopal. This is our campus in Bangalore. Thanks, Rahul.
Over to you. So we'll take the parent Q&A after Pratiti has a brief, overview of what Azim Premji is and what it's got to offer. So we'll just start off with that.
Is my screen visible?
Yes. Okay, great.
So like you just saw, this is our Bangalore campus. We have a campus in Bhopal as well, which started operations in 2023. We offer the same program in both Bangalore and Bhopal. In Bhopal, we currently don't offer all of the majors, but I'll give you those details when we get to that slide. The infrastructure, all of the facilities are the same at both of our campuses. And next year, we'll have a campus in Ranchi as well. So a little background about Azim Premji University. We started in 2010. The first batch joined in 2011. We have about 4,400 alumni with another 700 joining this year. So we'll be up to about 5,000 alumni this year. I'm going to quickly go into the subjects that we offer. So we have all of the majors which are under the sciences, social sciences, and humanities. You can say that the psychology program is a BSc program at the university, and students can opt for any of these majors regardless of what they've studied up until grade 12. When a student is applying to the university, they need to kind of select the major. It should be a subject that they really love and enjoy studying, because our programs are very rigorous. So if a student doesn't have an inherent interest in that domain, they'll start finding the course very, very difficult. So the first component is the major, which students decide when they're applying. The second component is something that we call an occupational minor. These subjects offer skills and perspectives, and the idea is to be able to combine your major with this minor and get a new range of career opportunities for yourself. And a quick example for this would be a biology student who's doing media and journalism with the end goal of becoming a science communicator. And this is a real example. We have students at the university who are currently pursuing this combination. But again, the combinations are not restricted in any way, and students can select based on their interest, based on what they think would be a subject that adds to their major. There is absolutely no restriction on how you select your occupational minor. Then we have what we call a common curriculum, and the common curriculum happens together with your major in the first year. And there are 3 different kinds of courses that we offer in the common curriculum. Foundational courses, so they cover things like critical reading, writing, quantitative abilities, public reasoning, ethics. Depending on the major you've selected, your foundational courses will be designed and tailored to that. For example, if you're a math student, you will have critical reading and writing as your foundational course. If you're an English student, you'll have quantitative abilities as one of your foundational courses. And that's that's a small customization that we do based on the major that the student selects. Then we have an Understanding India component, which deals with modern history of the country, current context of the country, and some future thinking and planning and problem solving. And students from across all majors attend this course together. And it's a really interesting discussion to be a part of, because all students are coming with different lived experiences as well as different perspectives based on the major that they're enrolled in. It's a really great course to be a part of. And then we have the creative expressions, which what we generally term extracurriculars. At the university, that are part of the credited courses, and students receive credits for whatever they select under the creative expressions. We have about 30 different courses that they can select from, and they range from all of the different sports that we offer at campus, dance forms, different musical instruments, martial arts. We have a sustainable farming course. It's a really interesting kind of bucket of courses that we offer, and this serves 2 kinds of purposes. The first being, we know young people shouldn't only be studying, and they should be doing something that's beyond their study work, and they should be able to make time for it. So we've made time for it in the timetable, and they have to engage with one of these things. The second is lots of students come from very traditional schooling systems where they're never asked their opinion, and when they come to our university they have to share their opinion. We want to know what they think about certain things. There's a lot of discussion that they have to participate in. So these creative expression courses just help them to start feeling a little bit free, a little bit more open, and it does have a positive impact in their academic classes as well. I'm going to quickly go to the next slide so that you can get a better sense of what how you can pursue a second minor and where the research coursework and internship comes in the 4th year. But the second thing that I want to share, which is very exciting for us, is that we have always been offering a BSc B.Ed. This year, we'll start offering it as the Integrated Teacher Education Program. We'll be offering it in biology and mathematics. So students will do the BSc components along with the regular BSc students, and they'll have education courses as their minor. So in place of the minor, what we are using as the minor in the regular BSc degree, education will be in that place. So they won't have an option of selecting that occupational track. They'll have education related courses. This is a recognized course by the government, and this admission cycle is not conducted by the university. It's the national entrance test that they'll have to appear for. So this is the 5 integrated components of our program. The major, which I spoke briefly about and showed you all of the different subjects that we offer under the major. Then I spoke briefly about the occupational minor. The research and internship year is in the 4th year, and this is a very exciting kind of option that students get to choose between. Research is a year-long research project, and then internship is a 6-month-long internship. It's a semester-long internship, which would be about 6 months. The research component is individual research, original research. Students will be assigned a mentor to guide research. The internship is fully facilitated by the university. And what I mean by that is that students will have a discussion on what kind of work they would like to engage with once they graduate. Based on that and what they have selected in their occupational minor, they will be placed in an organization that we would have a connection with and a project with. So students will engage in a full project from start to end, because there are certain learning outcomes that students need to achieve even through the internship. So it's a very structured internship that they will engage. And then they come back to university for the last semester. The really interesting component which makes the degree suitable to each student is how they use what we call flexible credits. So there are a couple of different ways to use this. The first way would be to do a disciplinary minor. So all of the subjects that we offer as the major can become your minor. So essentially you can do 1 major and 2 minors, and your second minor again can be selected completely based on your interest and goals. And the common curriculum, which I spoke about. It is a fully residential program. We have a very vibrant campus life, and I'll actually talk about campus life maybe when we have some questions around it. All of our students are assigned faculty mentors, and this is a person who will be teaching in the undergraduate program, who will get a good sense of who the student is, and they'll have conversations with them on anything that comes up in the academic journey of the student. For example, how do I select my occupational minor? Because you're selecting your occupational minor at the end of the first year. you would have had a full year studying your major, and then students know or will have some idea of what kind of additional skills they would like to build, but they may require some guidance around that. And the faculty mentor is the person who will provide that guidance. Having said that, all of our faculty keep open office hours, so students are welcome and encouraged to go and speak to faculty who are teaching them, or not even teaching them, but students may have a query for them based on some work or readings they're doing, and we really encourage students to have these conversations with faculty, both in person in the office hours, or even in an informal setting over lunch or tea. If they see faculty members who are available at that time, they're very happy to have a conversation. That's the faculty mentors and the support. In addition to academic support, we also offer residential life support and academic support. So students, since we don't have a requirement for students to have completed any subjects to apply for any of the sub majors that we offer, we do have an academic resource center that supplements their classroom learning in case they need additional support. For example, some students require additional support in quantitative abilities because they may not have done advanced math in grade 12, but they have signed up for a data analytics course, and they may need some extra support, and that support is provided by the university. So this is how the 4 years of the program will look. In year 1, students start with their disciplinary major. They start day 1, semester 1 with their disciplinary major, the common curriculum, and 1 flexible course. So in your second semester, you can declare that as your minor. In the second year, you'll continue with your major. There will still be some common curriculum courses. You'll continue with your flexible courses, and you'll add in an occupational minor. In the third year, the common curriculum is fully complete, and you will finish all of the taught components of the program by the third year, because we do offer that flexibility. If a student wants to graduate at the end of the third year, they can, and then it's just a degree and not an honors degree. If they complete the fourth year, and we encourage all students to complete the fourth year, then it becomes an honors degree. I'm so sorry, I missed explaining how you could use your flexible credits in different ways. So the first is the disciplinary minor. The second would be to take a larger number of electives within the major that you've opted for. For example, in economics, you'll have a set of core courses, you'll have a set of electives, and you can only select a certain number of electives based on the credits that are available to you. So you can use these additional credits to take a larger number of electives within the major. So then you end up actually studying economics in a greater depth. And some students do opt to do that because they're very focused on only that one subject. But we have several other students who opt to explore a second discipline. And interestingly, many of them have gone into interdisciplinary areas as their higher studies. And the third way to use these flexible credits would be to try courses from all of the majors, depending again on what you're interested in. The first semester, you can take a physics course. The second, you can take a math course, because every subject in the major will have one course that's open to all students, and students can decide. In addition to this, we have a gender studies minor as well as a statistics minor. Those courses have some prerequisites. So that would depend again on the major that you've selected. Okay, quickly skipping ahead. So up until now, what I've shared could be quite abstract. So we'll do a quick example of what this actually looks like. So these are two students who have selected economics, and they happen to be real students, and this is how they have chosen. The first student has chosen his occupational minor as data and democracy. The second student has chosen media and journalism as their occupational minor. Their goals are very, very different, and maybe I can ask this as a question at the end, if you can guess what kind of goals each student has. So the first student has taken math as their disciplinary minor, and the second has taken history, which is quite, I mean, normally people would not assume an economics student will take media journalism and history, because the economics course that we offer is a very intense economic course which has a large quantitative component to it. And then the first student has taken research in his fourth year, and the second is going to opt for an internship. The first student wants to go into economic research, wants to do his master's in economics itself. So the math and the data analytics course are just supplementing all of the skills that and knowledge that he's gaining from the major in economics. The second student wants to go into journalism. Economics just happened to be the subject that he was most interested in, with a close interest in history, a close second interest in history. So he's chosen that as his second subject, but his actual interest is in media and journalism, which we don't offer as a major. So he's taken it as a minor and studying economics, and now he's thinking about doing economics focused journalism because he has a good sense of that subject. And he's going to intern in a media company because that aligns with what his end goals are. And we kind of do this exercise with each student, and we're able to do it with each student because we have very small class sizes. We have 35 students in a class only. And so quickly going into what is really, really important and how the most important thing I think that students should look at when deciding where they would like to go is how we teach and what kind of assessments we use. So faculty are a mix of teaching, research, and field experts. All of our classrooms are discussion-based classrooms. So very rarely will it be a monologue by a faculty member. We encourage discussion in class, but this means students have a lot of work to do before they come to a class. So there will be readings that they will have to engage with before actually coming to the class, because that is an essential part of the university experience, to be able to talk about ideas that are new to you and discuss them in an academic setting. We don't have end semester exams. It's continuous assessment, and the assignments could range from projects to group work to book reviews to reflective essays. We have some pop quizzes. It really depends on what your major is and which faculty member is designing that assessment. No one single assessment counts for your final grade. It's accumulation of 4 or 5 different assessments that you will do through the semester. All of these assessments are designed to check for learning and understanding. At no point are we testing students. One of the highlights of our campus is the library. It is an open library, so students from other universities and colleges can access our library. It's actually open to all public. So if you happen to be in Bangalore and you would like to come visit campus, you can also plan a trip to the library. And our students use the library. You can go into the library at any point in the day, and there will be a minimum of 150 students who are there studying, using the resources that are available in the library. It's really lovely to see that. And they're not using their laptops when they're there. I find it to be one of the nicest places on campus. And quickly, I'll just go into the timeline. So by early October, applications will open and they close by mid-November. First entrance test is in December. It'll be mid-December. Interviews will be in January. And by early Feb, you'll have your decision if you go through the first test. We have a second test that the entrance test will be in April or early May, with interviews end of May, and offers will be rolled out in June. The program begins in July 2026. We also accept CUET, SAT, and JEE scores. However, I'll just give you one little pointer here. If Azim Premji University is in your top 3 choices of university programs, I would encourage you to go through the first test. That just gives you a higher probability of getting your first preference major and first preference campus. So that's just a little point in case anyone is wondering when to apply. So the selection process, it's a very simple process. There's an online application. Registrations are actually already available now, so you can pre-register so you can receive all of our updates and invites to different kinds of sessions that we host online. The application only asks for some very basic information from students. Then we have an entrance test, like I mentioned. It's a 3-hour test with 50 questions. They're MCQ questions. We have no negative marking. We check for English comprehension, quantitative abilities, and some domain-specific questions. So depending on the major that you're selecting, you will get questions from either the sciences, social sciences, or humanities. These questions are at the 10th grade level. We want to know how good students' basics are, not how much they already know. Again, this test is not designed to put pressure on the student. So there is no negative marking, and for 50 MCQs, they get 3 hours to do it at a relaxed pace. Then after the entrance test, there are 2 things that can happen. Either you'll get a direct offer of admission based on your test score and the program you've selected, or you will be invited for an interview with faculty members. And this is essentially to understand why you would like to study the subject that you've selected and why you would like to study it at Azim Premji University. Our sample papers will be available on the website, so you can take a look at that later if you're interested. So here's the quick domain-specific question. So if you select history, English, philosophy, you will get humanities-based questions. Economics, social science, psychology, and PPE come under the social science domain, and the remaining come under the science domain. And the external test scores. We accept the external test scores post our 2 tests, and the CUET, we have to rely on their timelines, and sometimes that does become a bit late. So if you're seriously considering the university, please don't wait to apply with your external test score. I'm going to quickly stop here because these are videos that may not actually work.
All right. Thank you so much, Praditi, for this elaborate yet very concise and focused input on what Azim Premji has to offer. So parents, please feel free to shoot your questions, anything and everything that you'd want to ask. We have the first question from Mr. Amit Srivastav. How many seats get filled through the test? Yes. Praditi, are you allowed to reveal that? Hello? Okay, we'll have to wait.
Hi, so sorry.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
your video is switched off. Sorry, your webcam
no,
is switched
sorry,
off.
I was having some difficulty. Sorry.
Yeah.
So how many seats get filled? A majority of the seats get filled in the first round.
So a question connected to that would be, how many seats do you have? So are seats basis majors and minors, or overall you're going to take so many students?
So how I would like to answer this is that our class size is 35 students. Maximum we can go up to about 38, but we do not exceed that number. Many of our majors are single sections.
Okay.
So depending again on the major, we may have 2 sections or we have 1 section. Our intake for our Bangalore campus next year will be about 900 students across all majors. So what is important for parents to know is the class size, because that is what makes the difference to the learning experience, and that would be capped at 38.
Sure. So we're looking at an overall intake for Bangalore campus at about 900. Class size ranging
900 plus. That's
900
just,
plus.
yeah.
Superb. So that's heartening to know that you're going to take in more students. Right. Parents, please go ahead with other questions that you might have. Please ask anything and everything that you might have in your mind. Please go ahead.
Hello, my name is Manoj Rahul. Hello, Rahul.
Hi, Mr. Bagul.
Actually, my son is in IB diploma.
Yep.
Okay. So I would like to understand this IB diploma is accepted at Azim Premji University or not?
Just Praditi, before we proceed, Mr. Bagul is logging in from France. So the student is studying in France.
Sorry, I
IB
was
diploma.
joining very late. Okay. I
Yeah.
log in from France now.
Okay, so we accept all boards. He can apply. The only thing that you would have to consider, because you're logging in from France, I don't know where your child is, we only conduct the entrance test in India,
Okay.
because the entrance test happens in person at a center. It's a computerized test, but it happens in person at a test center. We run it in all state capitals across the country.
And
Okay.
normally, what is the date for this entrance test?
It will be in December. That information will be updated on our website. And if you pre-register, so I'll put the registration link in the chat. You can register, so you'll receive regular updates on when our applications open or when the test is. You'll have that information well in advance. We should actually be able to update it by next week. But I can tell you it's on December 14th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, December 14th is a Sunday.
Yeah, December 14th is then when the test is going to be.
Acha, Pradeep, just a connected question which other parents might have. So if they have taken a JEE or an SAT, are they still required to take the Azim Premji test?
Again, like I mentioned, if we're in your top 3 university choices, then I would encourage you to take our test, because it happens earlier. The JEE, SAT, CUET round happens last, and then we may not be able to offer as many students admission at that time.
Right. So although SAT is conducted a few times in a year, you will consider them after the students who have taken the Azim Premji test, is what
Yes.
we are saying.
So we open the external test scores when the results of other Indian tests start coming out.
Acha, even for a student who's taken SAT earlier, you will consider them after.
We do it together. We do it as a single
Done,
round with
done.
an external
Got
test score.
Got it. Mr. Bagul, does that answer your question?
Yes, but to be very honest, it is not possible for us to come in person in December. Reason behind this, here there is one preliminary exam which normally happen in the first week of January, where this grade has to be considered as a provisional grades for the European universities or all the universities where IB diploma is accepted.
Yeah.
So this is my question, because I tried to attend the JEE in India also, but the dates are not matching, and
Sure.
the IB diploma.
We'll
is
have
not
another
accepted.
test in the month of May, so you could consider that.
May is when the child will be taking DP2. IB.
Oh
Because,
yeah,
normally
the
the
test dates
Exam
are-
start end of April and finish end of May.
So if
it will be
I can add, Mr. Bagul, probably your son can take the SATs and hopefully Azim Premji considers it as a good score when you open up with other scores later on. So because he can't travel to India in the interim, the only time I believe you can travel is post May. Then taking SAT at any point of time from now till May helps, and if he scores well, overall profile is good, then you might see Pratiti in Bangalore soon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Great. Yes. Next parent. Any other questions you would want to ask? Any other parent? Please go ahead. Okay. So no questions. Yeah, Mr.
Hello.
Srivastava, please go ahead.
Hi, hi everyone. Actually, I have a question. If my son, if he joins this some course and he doesn't like it, whether he can change the course
Do
during
you
the
mean the major?
Yeah. Starting from majors.
So, yes, he can change his major. With that, having said that, there are a couple of caveats. So, like I mentioned, the class size is sacrosanct and we cannot exceed that. So, if we don't have space in the major that he wants to move to, we'll not be able to facilitate it. The second thing students will have to do to make the switch is to go through another interview with faculty who teach that subject, because they would have been selected based on what they've applied for. So they'll have to go through another round of interviews with faculty from the major that they want to switch to. So yes, but with these caveats.
So it's not a closed door. It's just that there are certain conditions which even Pratiti is not in control of. But yeah, it is a possibility, is what we are hearing. Great.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Other parents? Yeah.
Yeah.
Minal, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Mulad here.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Ahmad,
Yeah, I just wanted to know how many majors are available in sense options.
We have 14 majors which we
Can you
offer, which
share
are across
screen?
sciences, social sciences, and humanities.
Sorry. Can you share the screen? Alhad, Pratiti did share it. We'll just quickly see it on the screen. If you
I'll
can.
share it again. Just give me a second. While I'm trying to share my screen again, if there's another question, I can take that.
Any other parent wants to shoot any other questions? So usually I get a question typically from A-level students and IBDP students or parents is, how many international students are there on campus from international curriculums, A-levels, DP, American, Singapore, very few schools in India, but still, how many of them are there on campus?
We have quite a few students who come from IB backgrounds because they find that the way we teach, the way the program is structured to be quite similar to what they've experienced in their IB. So they really do appreciate it. And the way that students kind of get a chance to experience this is the online interactions that we have. Those are hosted by faculty of different majors. And that when they, I'm so sorry, this is just not working. So they experience those things and then they feel that it's a good fit for them because it continues in the same way that that their school education had taken place. These are the majors. I hope you can see them, sir.
Yeah. Alhad, specifically for you. 13 majors here.
Yeah. There is one
Understand,
more
sir.
which isn't here yet because we're still waiting for approval on that. So by the time you all apply, you will probably see another major that you can opt for as well.
And Praditi, you said Bhopal campus is completely operational along with this, and Ranchi.
So currently in Bhopal, we offer economics, social science, English, and history,
Okay.
along with a BSc in biology. So we don't have all of the sciences in Bhopal.
Okay. And Ranchi campus expected to be operational from 2026.
Yeah, but we will not be offering our undergraduate. Sorry, I don't know what's happening.
You can stop sharing. Yeah.
Yeah, so in Ranchi, we won't start with our undergraduate program. That'll happen subsequently. But the campus will be open next year.
All right. Okay, great. Thank you for that. And Bhopal expected to add a few more majors
Yes,
consequently?
not next year, but the following year.
Okay. Good. Great.
Question, Praditi and Rahul.
Yeah.
About there is any engineering courses also at Azim Premji?
No, we don't offer any professional courses at the university. Our courses are purely science, humanities, and social sciences.
There is no engineering courses.
No.
So, Mr. Bagul, just a little bit of background.
Because I joined very late.
No worries.
I miss initial part. Okay?
No problem. So I quickly give you a little bit of a background. So we're a liberal education university that offers BSc, BA, 4-year honors degrees in the sciences, social sciences, and humanities. And along with that, students have a second, the minor that they select, which is from a range of subjects that we believe offer them skills and perspectives, getting them kind of job ready. Rahul, you're on mute.
So, Mr. Bagul, just to give a little bit of background, Azim Premji University is a part of Azim Premji Foundation. And the focus really is on the social good, so is social service, and everything is structured around it.
So, Rahul, quickly to just add to that, our undergraduate program is not specifically for the social sector or designed to be for the social sector, but our postgraduate programs are only for the social sector. I mean, they're designed in such a way that, and the courses that we offer are for the social sector. Our undergraduate programs are, like I said, in the sciences, social sciences, and humanities. And the things that students get to experience, the campus life, the other kinds of opportunities that we offer, we try to build that social consciousness into students. We don't expect them to work in the social sector. We just expect them to be responsible citizens of the country and the globe.
So, sorry if it came across as that. No, that was not what I was hinting at. I was just saying that the focus is not on business management or engineering or law, which is the classical professional programs. Focus is on, as Pratiti shared and what I've understood little, of course I'm an outsider, Pratiti is an insider, is that the overall aim is to create citizens who make a difference to the country, whichever program they pick up. Having said that, what I understand, Pratiti, and please tell me if my data is correct, that a lot of students go for their masters abroad, whether it's in Europe, whether it's US. And Mr. Bagul, you might want to seriously look at their BSc Physics is what you have, Pratiti?
Yes, BSc... we have a physics program, which I think covers similar courses as a BTech program. And they'll have all of the knowledge and some of the skills that an engineer would have gained with a BTech degree. The only difference is the BSc and not the BTech.
Yeah. So,
but here it's the same. Is the BSc, the Bachelor of Science, not the BTech in Europe.
No. So Mr. Bagul, what I usually suggest is don't go by packaging, don't go by naming conventions, nomenclatures. BSc, BTech. So even within BSc framework, the kind of options that Azim Premji has, I mean, I am blown over with the kind of things that they have. And not just to say because Pratiti is here. I've been speaking to the professors there and getting a lot of insight. So you might want to explore it on their website later on.
Yeah, so I will check the website. I will check the website later on.
Query on what our students do after they graduate. 80% of our students do pursue higher studies, and several of them have gotten into integrated master's PhD programs after their 3-year undergraduation at the university, especially in the different sciences, because there is a strong focus on research. Now in the 4-year program, it is a part of the program, but when we were offering it as a 3-year program, students still had enough opportunity to engage with research that allowed them to have very competitive applications for these integrated master's PhD programs. And they're at top universities across the globe, across the country. There's a long list of where our alumni are, and that's available on the website. To take a look at that. I don't want to go into those details. It'll take a long time. But yeah, 80% of our students opt to do higher studies.
Sure. And getting into some of the top universities globally, not just India.
Yeah, top universities and with very good scholarships, because we do have a very diverse student body. And regardless of where they come from, they're all able to have similar trajectories once they graduate from the university. And I think that is saying something about the quality of the programs that we offer.
Sure. Thanks. Which brings me to the next question before I take a parent question. And Praditi, please tell me if it's okay to extend.
Yeah,
by a few
sure.
minutes.
Sorry, my presentation went a little longer than I had planned because I covered all of it together.
No worries. And thank you for the extension. Which brings me to what are the scholarships, financial aid that students can expect at a UG level, particularly after 12? And what is the fee structure like for all-inclusive lodging, boarding, tuitions, etc.?
So this year, our fee is 3.2 lakhs for the tuition, 80,000 for accommodation, and we estimate about 5 to 6,000 for food per month. So the yearly cost could be about 4.5. Yeah, just below 5 lakhs per year, counting everything that a student may require. Our scholarships are completely need-based scholarship, and that's on the family income. So there's a cap. So if you're below 12 lakhs of family income, then you're eligible for a scholarship. 50% of our students are on some sort of scholarship ranging from 100% to 50%, and there are different kinds of denominations, but it's a need-based scholarship that we offer.
Sure. So compared to a lot of private universities, you're anywhere from 50% to 70% cheaper on the overall costs.
Yeah, so I can actually, maybe parents are wondering how or why the cost is what it is. And that's because we're subsidized by the foundation. So, and like Rahul mentioned, that if you compare our fee to any of the private universities in the country, we come out quite low on that scale. And that's because the foundation subsidizes all students. And I mean, that's how we can offer it at the cost that we offer it.
Sure. Thank you. Yes, parents, any more questions? Anything else you would want to ask? Please feel free to go ahead. Anything under the sun about Azim Premji University? Nobody has any other questions? Okay. Academically, is there any cutoff? For example, if you want to go to Singapore, the top 3, they say 39 on 45 in IBDP is what we will start looking you at. Anything below that? Thank you very much. Do we have something similar at Azim Premji?
We do not. What we would like students to do is to go through our entrance test, and then to be eligible, they need to pass whatever board exam they are appearing for, whether it's IB, CBSE, ISC, whatever that board considers as pass is what we consider to be their eligibility. And going through our entrance test, we don't really have too much weightage given to anything else, because we understand that test scores sometimes aren't and doesn't give the full picture of a student.
Right. So I think that's a sigh of relief to a lot of parents who are looking at scores which are not a 90% plus, but want to look at a great university.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
we'd be very happy to have everyone apply. There should not be any hesitation in applying to our university.
Sure. Okay.
So,
Yes, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I have one question. Would there be a syllabus on your website on how to prepare for the entrance exam? Or if a child is preparing JEE, that would cover the portion?
Yeah, if they're preparing for JEE, then they will be well equipped to do our test. We do have sample papers available on our website. It's not a practice paper, it's just a sample paper to give you a sense of what kinds of questions we ask. But you can take a look at that. And if the student is preparing for JEE, then
Okay.
there's not any additional preparation that they may require.
Also, ma'am, one more question. If the student is coming from IBDP A level and a student is coming from state board, is there any preference for that?
No, there's no preference given at all to anything. It's just based on the student's test score.
Okay, thank you.
So the question is actually coming from what most of the parents ask me in career counseling or profile building. That is there a pecking order where international boards are above par and state boards are below par and national boards are at par and things like that?
No, absolutely not. All students, we're not judging the board that students are appearing for. We're looking at what the student's ability is. And that's why going through our test is what we encourage them to do, because that gives us a good sense of who they are as students, regardless of what kind of school they're going to. We have several students who come to us from state boards across the country, and they're on par with students who come from CBSE, ISC, and IB, and other international boards as well, right? So that's...
All right, perfect.
Ma'am, one last question I have.
Yeah.
Are you going to add more courses in another 2 to 3 years at Azim Premji?
That's a question that I may not be able to answer very well. But yes, we will be adding some courses. But what kind of courses were you?
Something on pure maths and physics.
We offer pure math and physics. Those are courses that we already offer.
Correct.
And yeah, we offer both math and physics, and they're very well subscribed in our university. And I'm very, very happy to say that we have an equal number of girls in our math major as boys, which is it's really nice to see, because
Ms. Forum Shah, I have been behind Azim Premji. I've been talking to them for 3 years now that please start a business management program. But I don't know if it falls into the schema to do that. But overall, lot of demand for finance and BM programs from students.
Yeah, I don't think we in the near future will be offering any finance or management kinds of courses.
Great. Any more questions from any other parents? I know we are overshooting time, but Pradeep, just 1 or 2 more questions.
No, I'm happy. I'm happy to stay on.
Sure, great.
Questions. I'd like to just quickly take this opportunity to tell parents, do try to join us for these online things. We have one coming up on the 25th, followed by one on the 26th. One will talk about why selecting a BA degree, because that's a question many parents and students have. Like, what can I do after doing a BA? So do join us. That's a faculty panel discussion that we'll be having. And then we have support structures at the university. So we'll cover all of the different kinds of support that we offer students once they enroll with us in terms of health, well-being, academic support. There's several, because this care and support component is a designed component. It's not something that just happens on the side and the academics are the focus. This is a very well designed component of the program as well. So we will be going into great depth and detail on that. So do join us. I'll put our website in the chat box, because then you all will be able to register. You'll also be able to register for the events, and the website is actually very comprehensive and has all of the information that will be relevant to you. The admission dates will get updated shortly.
Parents, they are having a fantastic event sometime, I believe, in November or December. Pratiti, please.
It's in November. So it starts in end of October and goes on till November 8th. It's in person, and please treat this as a personal invitation to come and visit us during that time, because we do have campus visits, but visiting during Oceans of Life would be lovely.
How far from Bangalore airport, Pratiti?
So it is, in terms of kilometers, I think about 80-90 kilometers away from the airport. But in terms of time, it could take you anywhere between 2 hours and 3 hours to get to the campus from the...
Which is what time it takes from airport to the city as well, right? So that's more or less. Yes, parents, any other final questions before we wind up? Yes, we have.
Wasn't there in the start of the presentation. I just wanted to ask, do we have anything in behavioral sciences?
So we do have psychology, which we offer. It's a BSc psychology program, which does cover some amounts of cognitive science. And in the electives, they would be able to further explore. But we don't have it as an independent major.
Okay. Thank you. That really helps. Thank you so much.
And the fourth year is always there to kind of study something very specific like that.
Agreed. Thank you so much. Do we have anything in behavioral sciences?
So we do have.
Any other questions, parents? Or we are at the end of it? Cool. So, Pratiti, just to conclude, we started off saying that there is no requirement for any background subjects that students need to have when they enroll for Azim Premji, which means that a non-science student might be able to apply for BSc Physics, BSc Chemistry, BSc Biology, Psychology, BSc Maths. There is no requirement that you should have taken math if you show promise on your entrance test of Azim Premji and in the interview. So irrespective of whether you picked up those subjects or not, Azim Premji is going to look at you as a plain slate along with all of the students.
Correct.
Fantastic. So I think that again would be a good input for a lot of parents to ponder over to apply to the university.
Yeah, because we have lots of students who unfortunately weren't able to take a science in grade 11 and 12 based on their 10th grade board exam scores. And I think that's unfair to them. We don't have that kind of requirement.
Great. So thank you so much, Pratiti, for your time. Thank you, parents, for your questions and making it here on a Sunday evening. Quite an exciting exchange of questions and answers here. And we have a lot of universities lined up. Every Sunday, 4 p.m. is when we have universities lined up in September, October, November, December, January, the entire admission season this year. So please stay tuned to various groups you are in. And Pratiti, thank you so much. I might trouble you again closer to your finishing of the second round of admission sometime next year. And we'll be very happy to have you again on the platform.
Thank you so much for having me. And I hope the session was helpful to you parents. Thank you for joining us this evening. Thanks, Rahul.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Pratiti, and have a nice Sunday.
Thank you
Bye.
so much, Rahul and Pratiti. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a great Sunday, everyone. Thank you.